Foreign Affairs Commission. Even in our crazy parliamentary regulations, it was not implemented. And so we have asked our question, do we have the right structures on the national level and even of the European one? I think this is very important. The civil-military cooperation and comprehensive conception making. I think this is a crucial point and very important deficit. On the other hand, we, for instance, we Germans, we have to accept that it not, and we as Europeans at all, we have to do more for our security. Because we cannot, that's the reality, we cannot trust that America is continuing what they did for a long time, for decades. And we have asked ourselves the question, how will we do it? I think we have both institutions, we have to be better, and we have to shape in European caucus in NATO. The Americans were at first be against, but we have to do it. And until now we are not able, we are not really willing it to do. That's another difficulty. Then we have to ask ourselves not only for more expense for defense, I think we should, but that always repeated 2% quota is not sensible in my view. We have to ask at first for what we should do. Do we have the right structures to have really, as European Union, in security issues, a comprehensive approach? We could do it better than NATO, because we have all means in theory, but in practice, it is not really combined. And so I think this is the second question. The third one is civil society. I admire in this point the American foundations. We have in Germany very good structure, even the foundations on party line. But sometimes you need that kind of supporting civil society, not following the party line. So I think that America did a good job very often to improve civil society in other countries. We established it in the European Union too, with European Endowment for Democracy. But if you look to that little endowment and the power of European Union, it is a little bit. We should improve our own institutions in order to improve civil society with the European face. What Americans do always, and sometimes difficult too, but we should improve these efforts to improve civil society, not with paternalism, but to encourage them, finance them, and to, I think there could be said a lot of that kind of financing cooperation even in Croatia. I think this is important. My last point I want to raise in this moment is the minority question. We have not only the European Union only after the 90s started dealing with that question. Neglected it before a lot. But this year is the 100th anniversary of the first creation of minority rights by the League of Nations. And after in the legacy of the First World War. It was very important in the legacy of the First World War, more than 10 states were established. The most of them, or all of them, is national states. But then the powers recognized that these national states had a lot of minorities. And so they created minority rights. And even a charter for that at the treaty, the so-called Little Versailles Treaty. And if you see in which way this failed until now, very often, then I think we have to establish, even as European Union, special instruments about dealing with minorities. We have it in our treaty, but we have not real institutions dealing with that. We have the criteria, but to implement it, in my view, should be done much more, much better with the European things.
Thank you. I just have a short question for you as a follow-up. When you look at German policy and then EU's policy over this period, because you have been a witness of all this, a protagonist of all these processes, do you see that there is more convergence in terms of joint approaches or divergence in terms of connecting national and EU level of security planning and policy planning?
Both. On the one hand, I think we did, as European Union, after 1990, a marvelous job. I really had a lot of discussions. My background is that I come from East Germany. I grew up in the communist part of Germany. And when I started being a member of the German Bundestag, coming from the communist background, one of the challenges were in that time the enlargement issues, but not as in a paternalistic way, but because it was clear that all these new democracies fought themselves, getting and becoming democracies, and they had the right to go that way. And in the beginning it was very, very difficult in Brussels to get acceptance for that. And even in my own party, I found a lot of colleagues who said, we are in so good way. We have at first to make the deeper integration. If the others are in, we will fail. And so it started to have the talks and all that what we have seen. And in the end it was a real success that after almost 15 years, around 15 years, we had this enlargement. And at the same time, a draft of the Constitution. And I think this, in my view, until now, really is it is. To have both. On the one hand, the deeper integration, on the other hand, the enlargement. And I am consisting very often to that. And the next point for today is, if we see the Lisbon Treaty, I think we don't follow that usually. And we have to ask ourselves how we can push forward ourselves following that line which we accepted in past. And even in the question of membership. We have usually the candidate status, but not in our treaty. In the treaty is it not there. There is very clear in 49, Article 49, there is said every European country can ask for membership if they are ready, if they want, if they are ready, and if EU is prepared. These are three criteria. Coming from that, even Belarus has European perspective. But I can't see any European politician saying so. But I think it is very important to say so, because it's a message to the people in Belarus. You never will convince Lukashenko for that, because he will lose his power. But it is a perspective of a European perspective, we have not to give it. It is set there. And the question is, what we can do. We cannot export democracy, but we can support democrats. This is a very important issue to we come back to what I said to civil society. We are too weak, we are not willingness enough to do so. And so I think we should ask ourselves, and then the question about state and European Union. I think if I see the German politics, we very often neglect European institutions and take it as a national issue with some other big powers in the European Union. And I'm a social democrat, and if I see Gerhard Schröder, it was very important, in my view, to resist the Americans to take part in Iraq in 2003. That was, in my view, very, very important. But on the other hand, he tried to do it just with France and some other allies, and the European Union as institutions, and especially the more little neighbors, were totally neglected. And I think this is a mistake. If they are even look to the Normandy, the so-called Normandy framework, why there's no representative of EU included? I think it is a mistake. That not only some powers, Germany and France and other European powers, the institution has to be there, and the institution has to be the place to be prepared, but not only on the national level. That's my conviction.
Puno hvala, otvorili smo zakomplicirali stvari u pozitivnom smislu. Puno hvala na ovoj poruci koju ću sigurno zapamtiti, da Europska unija ne može izvoziti demokraciju, nego podržavati demokratske aktere. Da je politika proširenja i paralelna politika produbljene, što dublje integracije Europske unije, da su to dva alata politike izgradnje mira Europske unije. I da u tom pogledu, kada integracije i proširenje se razumiju kao komplementarni procesi, imamo dokaz da je na europskom kontinentu proširen prostor miroljubive suradnje između različitih država, naroda i društava. Tako da to nije samo fikcija, nego je konkretan dokaz da takav pristup i takva strategija radi kada se njoj pristupa zajednički, strateški i dugoročno. S druge strane, sada smo istakli nekoliko bitnih stvari. Načelo obuhvatnog pristupa, znači comprehensive, obuhvatnog pristupa sigurnosti i miru, vrlo često podrivaju, naravno, interesi, partikularni interesi ili nevoljnost da se djeluje zajednički od samog starta, bez da neke zemlje zapravo sebe stavljaju u prvi plan, kao što je rekla Lidija. Uz pitanje obuhvata imamo i pitanje uvijek komplementarnosti sa naporima drugih aktera. Znači, ovo što smo sve tu čuli smo jedan vrlo konkretan prijedlog, a to je pitanje, i to je pitanje javne debate, kako se države članice Europske unije, pri čemu ne mogu zaboraviti da sve države članice nisu članice NATO-a i da članstvo Europske unije ne bi trebalo podrazumijevati članstvo u NATO-u, ali debata o tome kako se europske članice NATO-a, koje su države članice EU, pozicioniraju unutar NATO-a. Ima li tu neke dinamike, budući da vi pratite tu temu, koje je bitno govoriti? Da li se tu neki pomaci događaju, postoji li neki prijedlozi kako povećati homogenost unutar NATO-a i kako zapravo ovu ključnu stvar, a to je pitanje vojno-civilne suradnje, kako ju promovirati i kao načelo koje onda može možda pomaknuti NATO u tom smjeru. To bih vas molila, mene ako možete komentirati. Znači, pitanje NATO-EU. I naravno druga ova stvar o kojoj smo pričali, koja je to centralna institucija, šta se događa sa EAS-om, sa FAK-om, koji de facto kontrolira EAS, a ne vijeće. Znači, tu bi Hrvatska kao predsjedavajuća ima vrlo ograničeni prostor za utjecanje na agendu odbora za vanjske poslove. Šta se tu događa oko integriranja različitih točaka odlučivanja unutar EU? Takva pitanja. Beru da je moj najteža pitanja.
So the first thing is, on the EU-NATO, I should say, it's not something that as EPLOG we really focus on. We're purely focused on the EU. So in terms of how it cooperates with NATO, how the member states who are not NATO members are engaged, that's kind of, it's not really the focus of our work. But to go back to the point that you made about the comprehensive approach, you know, kind of how the different member states, the civilian coordination, how the different member states cooperate. We're particularly interested, for example, the EU has its own integrated approach to conflicts and crises, and that's something that we're very focused on, is how can the EU use the broad range of tools at its disposal better together. So how can we make all of its different areas work together. So you mentioned the External Action Service, that's probably the institution that we are most closely focused on. And they are there's a part of that called the Directorate for Integrated Approach for Security and Peace, and we're very focused on them, and within that they have a specific division on conflict prevention and mediation support. They're a key ally for us, and their role is one of their roles is to try and increase the coordination between the EU institutions and what's happening to develop a strong, we hope, peace-building focused EU response to conflicts. They also work on conflict analysis, on mediation and dialogue, and then coordinate with the other institutions, so within the European Commission, the development part of the Commission, the neighbourhood directorate, all these different aspects. Also then you have the EU delegations and the role that they can play, and how, you know, because they're situated in the EU's partner countries where lots of conflicts are taking place. I think of other tools that the EU has. I think you kind of mentioned in Afghanistan and the work of missions. So we have an area of focus on the common security and defence policy, the EU's missions abroad, particularly the civilian missions, so the missions on rule of law, on police issues, on justice, on border things, all these different areas. And for us, it depends on how they're used, whether they can contribute to the EU's support for peace building. The EU also has its own special representatives in different regions as well, which are important and can contribute to mediation and dialogue as well. Also, its election observation missions. To go back to what was said before about the support for civil society, that's one of the main focuses of our work as well. Is kind of in all of the EU's different responses, firstly, it should support civil society peace-building organisations, and it should work with them, it should involve them in its work, in its conflict analysis, in its reviews of its missions, making that connection so it's not completely acting on its own. In terms of kind of military issues, so as I said, we're not looking at NATO, we're purely looking at the EU, but you mentioned the defence question, or the increasing defence securitisation of EU cooperation, or some people would even say militarisation. So and for us, we have concerns about its implication for the EU's long-term support for peace building, for civilian peace building, and in that there have been a number of developments in recent years that you may be aware of. It was mentioned in the prototype of the European Defence Fund is a new area. Support for the European defence industry. There's also what's called Permanent Structured Cooperation, or PESCO, which is a kind of EU military integration between different member states. And then more recently, there's been a catchily named thing called Capacity Building of Military Actors for Development and Security for Development, or CBSD, which is using EU funding for providing non-lethal training and equipment to military actors in the EU's partner countries, which was a development from 2017. At the moment it's quite limited in what they can do with it, and it's has a limited budget, but then it's going to continue in the future and could be increased. And then most recently, you may also be aware of what's called the European Peace Facility. It's a new initiative which is currently being negotiated, which we've raised questions about as well. it's a combination of existing programs, but also in a new area for the EU, the possibility of providing equipment, lethal equipment to military actors in its partner countries. So that's a whole new area that the EU is considering going down as well.
If you could, ako biste mogli samo još malo nam pojasniti u ovim svim inicijativama koliko se vodi računa i financijski, a i operativno o znači nevojnim aspektima, odnosno o onim aspektima koji mogu raditi na onom srcu izgradnje mira, a to su procesi, društveni procesi, obnove povjerenja, obnove struktura, društvenih struktura, znači ovaj cijeli dio koji bi baš bio čitav peacebuilding. Kako to funkcionira u odnosu na fondove koji su namijenjeni primarno obrambenim kapacitetima?
Do you mean how will it...
The funding issue between security and military part and the civilian peacebuilding part.
So at the moment, it's mainly the EU has all its different programs. It has within the EU budget thematic programs, for example, one called the Instrument Contributing to Stability and Peace, which they use. It's not huge in overall terms of EU funding, but it's the main source of EU support for peace building around the world. And also then, I think it was mentioned yesterday evening as well, the European Instrument for Democracy and Human Rights. A number of our member organisations who are peace-building organisations also receive funding through that particular EU funding programme for their work on peace-building issues around the world. But also the EU has huge geographic cooperation programmes with its partners in different regions, and even if peace-building isn't the main focus of those programs, they can also be used to support peace-building activities. At the moment, the EU is negotiating its future EU budget, called the Multi-Annual Financial Framework, which is the next period, the next budget is supposed to be from 2021 to 2027. And they're working on negotiating that between the member states at the moment. And as things stand in the negotiations, all these areas are due to be continued to be funded. So we're very much supporting that, the support for peace building, the support for civil society organisations, to continue that in the next cycle. But at the same time, introducing these new areas. So the defence fund is kind of slightly separate because it's an internal EU issue. It's an internal EU market question, but obviously it will have implications on the overall amount of funding available. The European Peace Facility, however, it's a huge, in the proposal from the European Commission, it's a huge amount of funding, and it's probably unlikely to be adopted in its current format at such a high level, but obviously it will have implications because if the member states have to contribute funding to the EU budget, they have to decide where to prioritise, and if they do decide to prioritise the European Peace Facility, which we question sometimes its value as a peace-building instrument. We would say perhaps it's more of a tool. It's called the European Peace Facility, but we said given that it's for supporting military actors with training and equipment, we'd say well perhaps it should be more called a European Military Cooperation Facility or something. So we kind of think in that sense, but obviously that will then have implications for how much money is available for the other activities which it currently funds. Which we think are valuable in terms of peace building. So the types of work that are funded under the Instrument Contributing to Stability and Peace, Democracy and Human Rights, we don't want those to be deprioritised in favour of these new activities. And then there's also pressure in other areas to think. So we're thinking of things like youth peace and security, women peace and security, transitional justice, mediation, peace education, all these types of activities which are currently funded. We don't want those to be left aside in favour of these new priorities. Also, at a time when, again, it was discussed yesterday evening, pressures on spending more on migration in the instruments, more on counter-terrorism, on countering violent extremism, all these different areas which are putting increasing pressure. At the moment, we can't say it's happened yet, but that's the kind of, as I say, that's the concerning direction of travel that we seem to be going down, that we want to try and defend what we consider the positive support that the EU can provide.
Lidija, bilo mi lijepo čuti vaš komentar na ove izazove vezano uz financiranje, povezivanje različitih znači komponenti i onda konkretno što to znači u praksi. Možete li se osvrnuti na neke recentne operacije u kojima se vidi što štima, šta ne štima?
Zapravo bi se vratila korak unatrag. Da je spomenuo militarizaciju peacekeepinga i peacebuildinga. Prije nekoliko godina Europska unija je pokrenula novu misiju EUTM in Mali, dakle EU Training Mission in Mali, koja je bila zamišljena da će raditi na jačanju malijskih, prije svega, oružanih snaga. Misija je bila lijepo zamišljena, da bi trebala imati 450 vojnika iz 10 europskih zemalja. U samom sklopljenju snaga je došlo do problema, tako da od 450 vojnika, 200 vojnika su bili vojni instruktori koji su radili sa malijskim oružanim snagama, ali je 250 vojnika iz europskih zemalja otišlo u misiju da bi štitili dotične instruktore. Dakle, 50 više nego što ih je radilo na obučavanju malijskih oružanih snaga. Pod broj 2, u toj misiji je Europska unija gledala kroz svoju prizmu, ne kroz prizmu onoga što se događa na samom terenu. Tako da u generiranju snaga su recimo sudjelovala i Finska. Finski vojnici su sa svojih 0 stupnjeva ili malo još ispod 0 došli u Mali na plus 30. Kolabirali su. Dakle, nije se vodilo računa o uvjetima na terenu i u toj nekakvoj prijelaznoj fazi. Kad su europske snage došle u Mali obučavati oružane snage Malija, došli su sa svojom modernom opremom, novom opremom. Malijci toga nisu imali, ne samo da nisu imali, nisu niti vidjeli u stvarnosti. Onda se ispostavilo da je ta oprema potpuno neupotrebljiva. Ono što im je poznato, poznatim je ruski kalašnjikov, kojeg u europskim zemljama nema. U nekima ima. Te koje imaju, kao što je primjerice Hrvatska, su doprinijele europskoj misiji jačanja sigurnosnih snaga u Maliju, donirajući oružje. Dakle, mi smo donirali simbolično 50-ak kalašnjikova, Crna Gora je donirala recimo poljske krevete, kojih isto nije bilo, jer naprosto Europska unija nije razmišljala o tome da bi trebala voditi računa o nekim najosnovnijim stvarima kojih na terenu nije bilo. S druge strane, nije ni NATO previše bolji. Uzmimo recimo primjer misije u Afganistanu, gdje Hrvatska također donirala oružje kao svoj doprinos. Dakle, to je doprinos Hrvatske države, gdje smo također donirali kalašnjikove. No, međutim, s druge strane, hrvatski vojnici su se samoinicijativno organizirali da bi lokalnoj zajednici, djeci koju viđaju svaki dan, donirali slikovnice, igračke i takve stvari. Dakle, s jedne strane na nacionalnoj razini je potpora zapravo militarizaciji ovakve vrste misija, a s druge strane na nižoj razini, na vojnicima koji s tim žive i rade svaki dan, se vidi zapravo stvarna potreba i stvarna želja da se nešto, barem sitnim koracima, napravi.
Markus, would you like to add something at this point before the last round of questions?
The question is in which field to add, because we have so many fields on the table that it is a little bit difficult. But I think all these fields belong together, and it is not very often the awareness that they belong together. They are dealt separately, and that's the problem. Even that we theoretically we are able to do it together, but we have to do it much better. And so I think all what you mentioned, the security issues,